this is the time for make or break. What does that mean to you, and what does it mean in the work that you do?
It is a time for make or break. And I think what's at stake is an ecosystem, is the lives of billions of people. And I think what's at stake also, and what's at a turning point, is kind of the model of the way we do business. I think right now we've got a system of capitalism that's got the wrong destination plugged into the sat-nav. It's got pure profit, profit, profit as the destination, and it's taking us over a cliff. And there is a chance, I think, to think very differently and use the arsenal of new technology that we've got to solve the problems of the many. The make or break is not technology, it's intent. Technology is not the answer, it's the amplifier of intent. The real question is, do we want to create a next wave of economic growth that's greener, but that's also socially inclusive, that's based around solving the problems of the all. Not just the urban and suburban billion with wealth that capitalism served for the last century, but the problems of the many. And my take is, like, a wall came down 30 years ago, the Berlin Wall, but we've left this wall standing up, this invisible wall, which is the wall of wealth. And anyone who didn't have it, they've been excluded. That's the make or break. We've got to have an inclusive and green form of capitalism.
And what will you do in this space? What's your role, especially over the next 12 months? Because we've heard a lot about 24 and 23.
Yeah.
But what initiatives, what work will you be delivering on in the next 12 months?
Yeah. I also do short answers as well. So the next 12 months, I work on the game-changing startups. And like the dream is to find these people with ideas, with talent, and these ideas that like fit the world around it and are real game-changing solutions, and to try to bring all the resources that I can muster from across different networks to try to help those startups scale up and deliver on their promise.
And we've known about climate change for decades, and this is CoP26. What do you think has been the elephant in the room, or the herd of elephants in the room, that slowed us down, and how do we challenge and overcome them?
That's such a tough question. I think COP15 was a competition between countries to try to come up with the NDCs that matched each other, and that was a transformational moment. Here, I think, it's not just at the national level that we're seeing the need to respond. We're also seeing in business, which has got to be part of the solution. You're suddenly seeing this is essential to the license to operate, but it's also essential to having a business that's growing, that's got a market. And the barrier, I think, that's been there is this perception that it's a conflict nationally. It's too expensive, that it's a conflict for the company, that this is, just going to be a barrier to your shareholder value going up and up, even if that's the single metric, which we need to move beyond. What more and more companies are realizing is this is the only way to have any shareholder value at all. So the barrier, I think, has been around mindset, and that mindset, you can feel it in the air here, that it's a non-negotiable shift that's got to happen. If you as a business want to survive, if you as a nation want to survive, if the way of life and the privileges we take for granted are going to carry on existing, there's a non-negotiable transformation that I really feel is accelerating.
And tell us a little bit about you personally. You're very passionate about this work. You've been doing it for a long time. What gets you out of bed in the morning, and what keeps you awake at night?
If you can't sort of look inside yourself and discover what it is that motivates you very easily. But there's just something about, you see these ideas and the wealth of them is so extraordinary. Like the talent, the geniuses that we've got all around. Then you see these problems out there, and you see there's just this ditch the ideas die in. And there's something around taking that talent and, with technology, sure, as an amplifier of it, but bridging it and helping to accelerate that growth that birth from that idea into something that's delivering on the ground so that it can actually impact people's lives. That for me, that's something worth getting out of bed for.
And what keeps you awake at night?
I think all of us feel completely inadequate to this task. And, I think what keeps me awake at night is realizing that's just the wrong lens, that it's all about collaboration. It's all about trying to find the partners who will do this collectively. And if there's one shift that I would really love to see, it's away from this objective of business growth as the sole metric of success, but into what's the problem we want to solve? Is it avoiding deforestation? Is it keeping the Arctic permafrost from melting, or the frost in Lake Baikal? Is it delivering sanitation to the 1.2 billion people around the world? I would love to see a collaborative focus on those problems, on those outcomes. And I just don't understand how we get the system we've got at the moment that's so siloed and so focused on the individual profits of individual corporations. I don't understand how we bake in that wiring. I can't figure that out. And if you've got an idea on that, Gurjit, I would love to hear that.
I'm not going to say my last question because this is so good. What innovations, what startups, what scale-ups have you seen that have really impressed you, really given you that enthusiasm? What have you seen? Because you've got a great panorama of what's going on. Is it artificial intelligence? Is it machine learning? Is it blockchain? Is it? What is it?
So the stuff that really excites me is when you see these exponential technologies deployed for good. And it's not just fourth industrial revolution, let's get more platform companies with deeper data lakes. It's in a way the fifth revolution that's beyond industrial, that's about taking these technologies to solve problems. So we were talking about just earlier today, in this wonderful panel we just had surrounded by trees, how in Brazil the indigenous Kayapo community are sitting on forests that, 10 million hectares, twice the size of Britain, that have got 2.5 billion tons of carbon sequestered in the trees that's at risk from the loggers. But they also know the choke points and control the roads in and out of the forest that can potentially protect them. And what you've got is companies like Gainforest that are using the exponential technologies of satellites, IoT, and the blockchain and crypto to do satellite-based monitoring of the forest, to check that they're really getting protected, and then measuring the carbon that's in there, in those trees, and delivering a token where you can provide a direct and pretty much zero-cost payment for ecosystem services that helps give the Kayapo the resources they need to protect the forest. So it's about closing the loop and just using the tech in a smart way to solve the big problems that are out there.
Incredible. Thank you. Thank you for your time.